What's up, everybody? Big Herc Fresh Out, and you're tuned into another episode of our interviews. I'm sitting here with Chris, aka Payaso, and I'm gonna have him tell his story. He's got a lot of things to say, and I hope you guys stay tuned and subscribe to the channel. So check it out. So where are you from, Chris? Tell the people like a little bit about yourself.
So I was born here in LA. My family moved to North Hollywood. Everything was good. Had both parents till about 7 years old, and that's when the chaos started. My dad was a druggie, alcoholic. My mom was sober. She was the one that kind of kept everything together.
Okay.
They divorced, and then I was torn between homes. You know what I mean? A couple weeks here, a couple weeks there. Moving from North Hollywood to Reseda, and my dad got into another relationship, and mind you, where we lived in North Hollywood was a gang-infested neighborhood, a lot of drugs. At the time, it was crack, and so one day my mom just got up and left. She moved to Mexico, and we stayed with my dad. At that time, I caught my first charge for petty theft at a Target.
How old were you?
I was about 8 years old.
Okay.
And so anytime I wanted something, I had to steal it. You know, we didn't really have money. We barely got by. So like, I wanted GI Joes at the time, and I was just pretty much boosting them. And I finally got caught, slap on the wrist, and it was just kind of little trouble like that. You know, little fights at school, whatnot. And then at I was turning 10, and my mom, she contacted me and she asked me if I wanted to go to Mexico for vacation, and I was excited, so I took off, went to Mexico, and she was in a relationship with some dude, and they pretty much kept me over there. They changed my name.
Oh wow.
They changed my age. I wasn't able to speak of my brother, my sister, or my dad. I had to pretend he was my dad. And they enrolled me into school. First day of school, I got beat up. And I remember crying every day on the way to school, praying that we would crash, you know, because I didn't want to go to school. I hated it. And all the little girls, you know, they had crushes on me, and all the boys wanted to whip my ass, you know what I mean?
Because you were different?
Yeah, I mean, coming from out here, going into a little town like that, like kids didn't have shoes, you know,
Okay.
Kids were all dirty and poor. And I had Fila's on, Nikes, you know, little Levi's pants and shit. So it looked like I had money, which we didn't, but I just had the gear. And so I knew I was different, and I didn't like it, you know. And so I'd come home crying and I'll beat up, and my stepdad would whip my ass. And he would tell me to fight back. So that was 4th grade. Got my ass kicked every day. By 5th grade, I started fighting back. By 6th grade, I was a straight scrapper, you know. And I learned the value of getting into fights and the power behind it and the respect. So when I went to junior high school, I was going to night school at the time. I looked for the baddest motherfucker there, and you know, I picked a fight with him, and that's how I kind of got around, you know. And I didn't like being different, so I would rip my clothes, I would get my shit dirty, you know, and I would hang out with like little street kids, and it became my scene, you know. Started drinking, smoking, tried weed. So this went on till like 13. At 13, actually I was 12 going on 13. We came back down for Christmas, and I decided to not go back. And
Not go back to Mexico?
not go back to Mexico, and I stayed with my dad in North Hollywood. And at the time, my brother was from a little neighborhood right there, the Pee-wees. And so I got into that, started smoking crack. I started smoking sherm, trying acid. And in 5 months, my whole world changed, you know?
Wow.
I was an active gang member. I was active drug user. So DCFS got called on my dad. My mom came down, snatched me and my brother up, and we ended up going back to Mexico. My dad got arrested, and from then on, it was just like, now I had a whole different motive to live, you know, which was drugs. And I knew how to cook crack. I just didn't know how to get coke in Mexico, you know? And so like that became my mission. I started taking pills. I was taking roofies and blacking out everywhere. Fast forward, so that was my life, just drugs and trouble and getting beat by my stepdad and whatnot. 17, so I used to see my stepdad beat my mom all the time. And in my head, I would play this fantasy of like how I was gonna stab him and kill him and beat his ass, and I never had the courage. One day, I was 17, and we were coming back from a get-together, and he was drunk. My mom was scared, and he was yelling at her, and it was routine. We were gonna get home. He was gonna whip our ass, whatnot. And I decided to stand up to him. So he tried to send us to the room, and I said no. And he gave me this look like, what? You know? And I said, nah, man, you're not gonna hit her. And he just came at me, and I dodged one, punched him, grabbed him in a headlock, took him down. And I remember choking him out, scared that if I let him go, he's gonna kill me. If I kill him, he's gonna kill me. You know what I mean? Like either way, he's gonna kill me. So I was able to hold him down, get out of it. And by then my brother and my mom had ran out the house. And so I left. And I left to the streets. I already knew a lot of people, started doing my thing. I was boosting at the time, got a little place. It lasted about a week, and I caught my first case. I turned out, right when I turned 18, I caught a case for armed robbery. And I went to prison in Mexico, and that's where it all started, man. I was hooked on drugs. I couldn't be sober. There's a lot of drugs in there. So I started manipulating my family. My family was scared. They were there for me, trying to get me out. I was looking at a lot of time. They sold a truck. My grandma sent money. A lot of pieces were moved to get me out. And I got out. INS snatched me up. My mom paid more money, and they kept me in over there in Mexico. 2 months later, I got busted for home invasion.
Oh shit!
And this time my family disowned me, and luckily the owner of the house didn't press charges. They didn't come to court, so my case got dropped. INS snatched me up, and I got deported out here.
Back to the United States?
Back to the United States. And so when I got here, I was trying to do good. I got a job at City Walk, and within months I was back on crack. And it just kind of went on from there, man. In and out of jail. Finally in like 2000, I want to say 2001, I caught my first prison term out here for GTA. And then I got out. When I went in, I left my girl pregnant. I got out, went to live with her. 5 months later, I was back in prison for, I want to say either possession of a firearm or possession for sales. I'm not sure. But again, I left her pregnant, went and did a term, came back out, same thing, got her pregnant, went back in.
So you had at that time, how many kids?
At that time I left her pregnant with my 4th kid.
Wow.
And so I went away, and I came back, and every time I'd come back out, I would think I'm gonna get sober, but I couldn't get a job. My record was screwing me. So I did what I knew how to do, call the homies, get a pound, start serving. Within weeks, I have a car, I have my J's, I have my gear, I have my place. But it wouldn't last but months, and I'd be back in prison. And so that's what it was like all the way till like 2008 when I came out, and I went into to school, ITT, and lasted 8 months out. And then I got arrested again for like forgery, fraud, commercial burglary, identity theft. And I went away again, man, you know. Came back out, and so I moved out of the valley. I went to San Gabriel Valley, and same thing over there, dude. Within weeks, like I was plugged in, and started serving, running around with guns, and at that time it was a little more vicious, man. There was a lot of gang activity, a lot of robberies, home invasions, kidnappings, and just shit that was bad, dude, you know. And I ended up catching a case for possession of a firearm, ex-convict possession of a firearm with gang enhancement. And so I went away, I came back out, and I moved away from San Gabriel Valley back to San Fernando Valley. And this time I caught a case for sales. There was a sting that happened, and a lot of our houses got raided at once. It was by the feds. They were watching us for a whole year, and because I had just paroled, I wasn't in the initial investigation, and luckily I didn't get caught up with that RICO Act like all of them did. But I ended up going upstate for a few years. I think I got 3 years that time, and this time I was sitting in Delano reception, and I got a letter from my dad, and he was telling me how my kids got taken from my baby's mom. They were in a foster care, and I remember for the first time like feeling scared, you know, and I dropped to my knees that day, and first time I ever prayed, and I said, you know what, God, like I know I got to do my term. I was still in reception, beginning of my term, and I was like, just keep my kids safe. Don't let them get molested. Don't let them get adopted. And I promise I'll never put myself in a situation where I can't be there for them once I get out. And luckily I ended up at Chuckawalla, and then from a 2-yard I got dropped to the 1-yard, and they had a SAP program, which is a substance abuse program, and I got into that, and so like I did that program, and my date was coming up. They actually knocked off like 4 weeks of my sentence. And so I remember my plan was to get picked up by the facility called Phoenix House in Venice Beach. And they were going to take me to the program, and I was going to just do right. You know, I had funding for about a year or 6 months, I think. And something happened, man. The day before my parole date, I was like, you know what? I want to get some pussy. You know what I mean? And see my family. So I called my brother, hey, pick me up. And I remember, man, as soon as I put my J's on, put my jersey on, freshly shaved head, and I was just like, man, fuck the program. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go fucking do my thing. And I remember, man, I got out, I got high, I got pussy, and I was back to square one. Like I knew, like it was like 3 days out, and I was like, damn, it's gonna be the same thing again, you know? And by then I had thought I fucked off my funding. So what I did was my dad goes to church every week with my grandma, and I'm not religious. I don't really I just have my own belief, you know? So I was sitting at a church, a Catholic church. Everybody was getting up, getting on their knees, and like doing all this shit, and I'm just sitting there looking at the place. I'm like, damn, it's nice in here. And I'm like, damn, God, you know, I screwed up. What do I do? You know? And I just sat with that thought, and we left there, and I told my dad, you know what? Tomorrow take me to my probation. Fuck it, I'm gonna go report. Because I hadn't reported. So I went in, probation was cool. I told them what's up. They made a call to the facility, and they reinstated my funding.
Wow.
And I went into the Phoenix House. And I acquired 3 years sober. Since then, I haven't been back to prison. This is 2010, but it got rocky. So like 3 years after, I met, actually like a year after getting out and being clean, I met my girl that I'm with now. We got 2 kids now, But I met her. She's sober. She's a good girl, you know, and I decided to get in a relationship, you know, and decided I can drink, and managed for a while. So I had 3 years off drugs, but I started drinking. You know what I mean? And I just got into this relationship that I wasn't ready for, you know, and she wasn't ready for. So little by little, man, shit started getting hectic, and started using again. And fast forward a few years, I caught a case. I was out on bail.
What year was this?
This was 2016, 15 or 16. I blacked out on Xanax. So my grandma passed away, and I had already been using off and on. My grandma passed away. I disappeared for like 3 days, didn't go home. Started using meth and Xanax, and it was the day of her viewing. And I got off work, and I went home, and I'm high as hell. I'm on my motorcycle. I get to a stoplight. I'm so fucked up, I drop my bike, pick it up, embarrassed, run the fucking red light.
Oh, shit.
You know what I mean? And I went home, and my girl's on me like, you cheating motherfucker, and this and that. And like, I had just been on a drug run. She thought I was with girls. It got crazy. I fucking lost it. Got the gun, put the gun at her face, put the gun at my head. I was like, fuck everybody, fuck everything, you know? And then I kind of calmed down, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna leave. And I tried leaving, but I forgot my keys inside. She called the cops. Cops came, got the gun, and they hit me with terrorist threats, battery, domestic violence, ex-convict, possession of a firearm.
Damn.
And assault with a deadly weapon.
So that was your second gun charge.
That was my fourth.
Wow.
Yeah. So now, like, I get arrested, boom, I bail out with the quickness, and I just go on this run, you know. Well, it started getting serious, you know, like every court date they're talking about 20 years, nothing less. And at that point I'm like, I'm not going back. You know what I mean? I'm shooting it out. Fuck it. So I'm running around strapped, pounds of dope, you know, and just doing my thing. And some crazy shit happened. You know, me and my boys, we went to go do a robbery. And not to get into too much detail, my boy got shot and he got killed, you know, my best friend. And so that shit took a toll on me. After that, I was all fucked up in the head. Like, I was gonna die no matter what, you know. And I just kept on being up to no good, man, being shady. Sometimes I'd wake up in the morning and I feel like shit and I want to be a part of my family, and I'd go to my girl and I'd cry and break it down, and I'd be like, fuck, dude, like I want to stop, but I can't. I get some sleep, I wake up, and boom, back to it, you know? And so another incident happened where, again, I can't get into too much detail, but I was getting robbed, and dude had me with a gun to my face. It was just me and him, another gang member. And I was about to give up my shit, and he shot, and the shit jammed, you know. And the rest is a wrap. But so when that happened, man, like some shit changed in me, you know. And then one day, it was right after New Year's, 2017. It was January 2nd. So one day I'm coming from doing a deal, and I'm out on bail. In my head, I think I'm wanted for a hot one. And I'm running around with a gun. I got a lot of drugs, and I'm coming on my motorcycle, and I crash. And I remember when I hit, it just felt like when you ram somebody playing football. And I tried to get up. I couldn't breathe. My wind was knocked out, and I couldn't get up. And I looked down, and my leg is bent back. So I had shattered my pelvis. I broke my ribs. I had kidney and liver lacerations, so I couldn't breathe. I'm like, you know, and I'm just trying to crawl to the bike to get rid of the gun and the dope. And I can't get rid of it, bro. Like, I can't get to it. Lady's pulling me down. She's like, I think he's in shock. He keeps crawling to his bike. She's on 911. And I'm like fighting her off, and I'm trying to get there, and I just collapse. And I'm like, you know, and I'm like, fuck, I'm done, you know? And some gang member comes up, a lot of people around, gang member comes up. He's like, what's up, homie, you all right? I'm like I can't even talk. And I'm like, hey, dude, there's a gun, there's dope. Fucking take it, bro, take it. He goes to the bike. I'm looking at him. He goes down, he grabs something, puts it in his shit, takes off his shirt, grabs something else, and runs. I'm thinking he took everything, right? So the ambulance comes, they take me. Cops don't come until after I'm already gone. And while I'm in the hospital, the cops show up, and they're like trying to find out what I was wearing, where's all my belongings. They're like, hey, we found the gun. So he took the clip, didn't find the gun, and he took the drugs. But because of the way everything went down, they never booked me with it. So I'm sitting there, and the doctor comes, and he's all like, hey, check it out. We need you to sign this because you got kidney and liver lacerations. You might die. If your body goes into whatever, like, give us the consent to go ahead and do whatever we can to revive you. And so I signed that, and I'm laying there, and I'm just thinking, like, damn, what did I do with my life? You know? Like, why was everything so important that means nothing right now? You know? And I remember, like, talking to God and being like, damn, God, like, if you let me live through this one, like, I'll stop. You know what I mean? I get it. I see the point of life. Fast forward, about 3 weeks later, I get out of the hospital. I can't walk. I'm on a wheelchair. And I get home, you know, I'm on painkillers, but the pain is fucking crucial. I can't wipe my ass. My girl has to wipe my ass. I can't shower. I can't move. I have to pee in a container. 2 months go by, and I'm using crutches now. And I start using again, man. And I'm back out.
Damn.
I got into a fight on crutches, going and trying to attack somebody. Just out of control, bro. I start healing better.
Did you still have the other case pending still?
I'm still out on bail.
Wow.
I'm still out. I'm fighting my case. I'm going to court in my wheelchair.
Oh,
and so one day, bro, I wake up, and my girl, the reason I'm here today is because of my girl. She never gives up on me, bro, you know? She sends me little videos of my kids. She sends me pictures. She tells me it's gonna be all right no matter what. Just come home, get some rest. We'll figure it out. Even if you go away for a while, we'll figure it out. Don't worry. Like, she's giving me that little bit of hope. But in my head, I'm like, fuck that. You're not gonna do the time. You don't know what it's like. You know, I can't get sober, you know? I get sober 3 days, and then I just can't control it, bro, you know? And at this point, the addiction is to the lifestyle, you know? That fast money, that fast pace, like any minute you can get killed, any minute. High-speed chases all day long. I never got caught on my bike. That's why I lasted so long this time, because I was on a motorcycle, and every time I get pulled over, I was gone, you know? And so I wake up one day feeling like shit, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go away. You know what? I'm gonna go get sober, go to rehab, listen to my girl, spend the last few months fighting my case with my kids, and then go away sober, you know? And so I went home. She had a place lined up. And I remember, man, like fighting it. We drove to the facility. We got there. I picked a fight with her. I'm like, fuck this. And I drove off. And I had a syringe. I had some dope. I had some a pipe, and I had some Xanax. And that was my kit to go into rehab. You know what I mean? And so we started driving off, and she's crying. And I remember I pulled over. I'm fighting it, man. I wanted to go in, but I didn't. And I pulled over to a Starbucks, and I'm like, hey, check it out. Get in line. Get me a drink. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. I want to do one more, you know? And she's like, look, Chris, if you're gonna get high again, just don't do it. It's all right. You're not ready. And those words did something, bro, you know? And I said, you know what? Went in my stash. I said, here's all my shit. Just take me over there. Fuck it. And she let out this sigh, bro, like of relief that I've never heard from anybody before, you know? And so I went into this place, and it was a trauma-based facility, and they started addressing all my issues, you know? And it did something for me, man, you know? And from there, I've been, that's what brings me to here today, you know what I mean? Like, I'm clean right now. I go to, I'm taking 4 classes at Pierce College. I'm in an IOP program. I'm living in a sober living. Oh, let me get back to the case. So while I'm in this facility, I have to go to court and shit. And the owner of the facility tells me, hey, check it out. What court do you go to? I go to CCB. He said, like, I got somebody over there that could probably get you a drug program. Are you interested? I'm like, wow. It's not a drug case. You know, like, I don't think it'll fly. He's like, well, let me give it a shot. So happens, dude is connected with the DA and the judge where my court is.
Damn.
And I'm in that courtroom because of the wheelchair.
Yeah.
So it's like gunshot after gunshot after gunshot. I get in there. They hit me with a 9-year joint suspension, 5-year probation, a strike, and like 15,000 in fines.
Crazy, man.
So now
wow.
I'm free pretty much, wow. As long as I don't screw up.
Yeah.
You know?
Bro, you were fucking blessed, man. That's fucking crazy. 3 gun charges, bro. Fuck. That's fucking crazy, man. I mean, I would have to say, like, God works in mysterious ways, because, like, I know a lot of, man, you'd be under the pen, man. That's like, fuck, man.
And that's part of the reason why I came to do this. I don't really like to be on camera, one.
Yeah. No, but sharing your story, man, fuck.
But the way I look at it is like, getting shot in the face and the gun jamming, what are the odds? Been shot at many times. Everybody I've rolled with is doing life in prison or dead. The accident, the motorcycle accident, I'm here for a reason, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I figure like if I can help somebody, especially the youngsters, you know, that we get into this shit because we don't have that love at home and we find it on the streets. And unfortunately, we look up to the people closest to us in the streets, and they got the girls, they got the money, you know, they got the guns. We see power behind that, you know, and that's what we look up to, you know, and it all comes from like not having a father, you know, a father to teach you what's right, to teach you how to get vulnerable, you know, how to understand your emotions, how to be okay with expressing them. You know, we get taught that if you cry, you're a fucking pussy. You know, don't cry or I'll give you something to cry for. You know, so like we bottle up all these emotions, you know, and it just takes us to a dark place every time, you know, and I just feel like now that I understand my traumas, now that I understand that feeling that my stepdad made me feel, that fear that I felt at school, you know, that loneliness of not being able to say, hey, I'm sad, or why does this happen, or why do I feel this, you know, what's going on with me, just having to push through life, you know, we become adults and we're kind of still childs, you know, like we're still stuck in that mentality of a 13-year-old emotional person, you know, and I just feel like it's sad that there's this cycle of the system that we get thrown into once you do your first crime, and there's nothing to help you get out of it, you know. Luckily, if you have an addiction and you go into rehab, you might find the solution, but if you're in denial, you don't think you don't have a drug problem, then you're more than likely going to stay in that cycle. You know, it's pretty hard to pull out. You know, you get out, you can't get a job. What do you do for money? How do you take care of your family? You know, and it's just nonstop, dude, you know?
What are some of the things that motivate you now to stay sober and to, you know, want to stay out, not get in trouble anymore?
Well, part of it at the beginning was I got a lot of time over my head, you know. But with that motivation, it got me to understand a lot of my issues and a lot of my drive, and I just want to be a father. I got 6 kids, and there's this feeling I can't explain, but when I play with my daughter, when I play with my little ones, I got 2 little ones, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. The other ones are a little older, and it's a different type of connection. But with the little ones, there's this connection that happens that I've never felt, you know, and I know that right there is gonna help them in their life, you know, and so my main mission right now is to be a father, be a friend, be a partner, and make a change in some kind of way, you know. So I decided to go to school for drug and alcohol counseling, and as I'm getting more into this, I kind of want to try to find a way to make a difference for teenagers, because that's where I feel I made the choice to take the path I took, you know. If I would have had somebody that had a solid story and that can show me the change, then I would have had something to go towards, you know.
Do you think a big part of you continuing to get in trouble was your involvement with the gangs, or did it have a big impact on you, or it was your own doing?
Yes, and so not so much the gang, but the lifestyle of a gang member, you know. I like guns, I like power, I like when people look at me with fear, you know. I like taking shit. So like I have all these bad qualities that I drive off of, you know. So that was a big part, you know. Like that and the drug, mostly the drug, because if you take away the drug, I don't care for a gun.
Okay.
I don't care for taking from people, you know. I'm actually a pretty decent person. But as soon as I do some meth, you know, it's a wrap. Like I need a gun, I need a lot of drugs, I need people to need me, you know, and I just get caught up in this cycle, and with it comes a lot of the gang activity, you know. So
what would you tell youngsters out there that think that lifestyle is glamorous, or just that whole gangster thing with the guns and everything? I mean, because, you know, a lot of guys think that's cool, going on social media and showing that they got these pistols or these whatever, you know, these straps, and they think it makes them gangster.
Well, first I gotta say is, like, a lot comes with holding a pistol. You know, it's not just I look badass, I am a badass, everybody's afraid of me. You have to use it, you know. And when you use a pistol, it's a whole different thing that happens within, and it's not something that just goes away. It's not something you just forget. It's something that haunts you every day, you know. And there's a lot more damage that happens within by putting yourself in situations where you need to use a pistol. That's one. Another one is when you end up in prison, it's big fish eat little fish, right? So either you get punked all the way through, or you make a name for yourself. And there's this false idea of homie love, and the homies got you, and like you're a part of something, when all you are pretty much is a dummy. All you are is somebody that makes it easier for us to get drugs to the back, to the big homies. You know, it's money and it's drugs, and nobody gives a fuck about anybody, you know. And at the end of the day, you know, a lot of people go in there with little terms and they catch life in there, you know. And when you look back, it's like, for what? You know,
doesn't really mean that at the end of the day.
It doesn't, man. At the end of the day, they'll chew you up and spit you out like nothing.
Fuck, bro, your story, man, it's a hell of a story. And it's like a lot of kids need to hear that, man. A lot of young people need to hear that, because they don't realize how dangerous that lifestyle can be, and that there is actually the ability to make change from that. You know, you're a perfect example, man. You getting your life together, dude, I think it's a blessing. I think it's a blessing to your kids. And for everybody that's hearing your story, it's a blessing because you did something different, man. You broke a cycle. And that means a lot. And for you to share that on camera, bro, that's a very big step forward. And we really appreciate you being able to come here to share that, man. I mean, we're sitting out here in Malibu, you know what I mean? Waves crashing behind us, man. And, you know, you're doing something positive with your life, man. I really appreciate you, man, giving us your story, bro.
Yeah, I want to add one more thing. So before, I looked up to fast money, cars, motorcycles, girls, big drugs, bad guns, and I thought that was life. You know, that's all I knew. And now it's like you just said, man, like look at the beach. Look where we're able to sit today, you know?
Yeah.
Who would have thought when we were sitting in a cell that we'd be at a fucking nice-ass beach in a mansion like this, you know?
Yeah.
Who would have thought that we'd get to know the people that we know, the people that we meet? And there's more to life. You just got to give it that chance, you know? A wise man told me once, he said, give me 1 year of following direction and taking advice, and I'll give you a new life, you know? And it was hard for me to do that, bro, but when I did that, like I found love, I found compassion, I found empathy, I found peace and freedom. I own a motorcycle, I own a car, you know, I have money in the bank, all legit, you know, I got a job, I work in the office, you know what I mean, I wear a tie every day, you know what I'm saying, like, it's like everything I thought I could never do, it started happening, you know, and I just see it getting bigger and bigger, and like my hope of being happy, finding happiness, you know, and finding a meaning to life is closer and is actually in view, versus before it was just like I know I could never be a normal person, so I'm just gonna run with what I know, you know, but there is a way, and it's all by being authentic, you know, like we learn how to be that tatted up motherfucker, that gang member, you know, we learn how to be what works for us on the streets, but that's not what you really are. That's not who you really are. So when you're okay to put down that facade, you know, and you know, be the true you, then people can actually help the true you, you know. So it's all about being authentic, you know, and accepting who you really are, and actually finding who you are, because we get lost, you know. We think we are what we've been made to be, but that's what we were made to be, you know. That's not who we really are. So yeah, man, for all you youngsters, man, give yourself a shot, give yourself a chance to be who you want to be, who you really are deep inside, and not who the homies make you out to be. You know what I mean?
Real talk. Chris, aka Payaso.
Payaso.
Payaso. Excuse my French. Payaso. Hey, man, it's a pleasure, man.
All right,
thank you for sharing it with Fresh Out, man.
All right.
Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at FreshOutSeries.com.